Depression is a horrible thing. It influences everybody else differently, and we don't really know what to do with it. But let's look today at how people deal with it differently and how do they view it. Shout out to the particle hell that is functional depression. This is me. Don't get me wrong, it's better than the don't leave my bed for a week depression. I'm grateful that I can be an independent person, but there is something uniquely horrible about being able to go to work every day, occasionally clean up after yourself, pay your bills, generally put yourself together enough to look like a human being. But that's it. Nothing else. No social life, no hobbies, constantly battling your mind and being absolutely effing exhausted all the time. This is pretty relevant. A lot of people who suffer with depression but also are kinda independent and can do their things on their own, have this mind shift or this mindset in themselves that they're suffering, but at the same time, it's not really that horrible. For example, they go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, but at the same time, they feel that something is wrong. And it actually feels horrible when you are capable of doing much more, but still being held by this weight of depression. You feel so heavy, but at the same time, you're kinda experience this life in a different way. For someone, it may seem just as a bare minimum to live your life, to shower, to go to the gym, to work, but for a depressed person, that's survival. And it's like having this ongoing battle all the time, and it just feels heavy, heavier than anything you can imagine. But then when you have this functional depression, for maybe personally it doesn't seem as heavy, but the depression is still real, it's still there, and it's just confusing. It's just the biggest confusion of your life. I hate that people don't understand that I don't want to unalive myself. I just don't want to live anymore. There are different stages of wanting to unalive yourself. First, you have thoughts, then you have ideas, then you start to plan, and then you act on your plans. And imagining yourself not being here, it's kind of the first step or the beginning of this hellscape. It's really weird and awful experience to have your mind tell you that you are not worthy, that you shouldn't be here, that people would be glad if you maybe weren't here. It's not true, it's just a nonsense, but we still believe it. You may seem as a cover to yourself that you don't do it, that maybe people would be better off if you wouldn't be here, but that's just not true. The truth is that life is at the same time magical as is suffering itself. It's hell and heaven at the same time. And if you have a feeling that you do, if you have the feeling that you want to unalive yourself, but at the same time you just don't want to be here, you just don't want to exist, you just want to go to sleep and never wake up. It's not that you want to die, it's that you don't want to suffer. And that's the most human thing you can feel. I cried in front of my family today. They ended up comparing their issues to mine and tell me that other people have it worse. Thank you, that really helps. Now I feel 10 times worse. There's maybe nothing worse than telling other people that you have a bad time or that you are suffering and then telling you that it's not really bad, other people have it worse. When you can really tell bad news to your loved ones or your friends, then they are not really the right people in your life. You cannot get rid of your family. But if those are your friends, then find different friends. We want to be able to share our pain with others without feeling like a burden. We want to experience this life. We want to share everything, even our suffering. But if you have people around you who don't want that or who tell you, you're so negative, you need to be more positive, then they don't really understand. And it's not their fault. But at the same time, it's kind of your fault that you stay in the same situation. As I said, you can choose your family, but you definitely can choose your group of friends. When somebody tells you that you have it worse or that somebody has it worse than you, then you can look at it two ways. One way is it can lighten you up. It can say that, well, yeah, other people have it worse, and I have a lot of things to be grateful for. But at the same time, the second thing is that, yes, people have it worse, but that doesn't diminish my suffering. My suffering is also valuable. It sucks when you wake up and the only thing you look forward to is sleeping again. The first 6 words of the title is accurate too. It's a common theme with people with depression that sleeping is kind of an escape, a fantasy dream where you don't suffer that much. I remember when I was going through depression, my heaviest depression, and my dreams were the most beautiful thing, honestly. I remember that I suffered a lot or I was in a lot of pain mentally, but when I went to sleep, I had these beautiful dreams of adventures and escape, and it made life maybe more difficult that I had this escape, but when I woke up, I wasn't really satisfied with that. We just want to escape pain, and we will take anything that's available. Had anyone noticed memory decline from depression? Just curious if anyone else affected by this problem also noticed quite a big cognitive decline, or if anyone has noticed a cognitive decline and managed to build themselves back up to that previous cognitive level. It's definitely true that when you are depressed, you live in this fog, in this clouded mentality that everything is horrible, everything is negative, and everything will end up badly. But that's not really true. But you cannot really explain that to the first person because the best and metaphor I heard about this is when you stand in a puddle and you're wet, it's really hard to imagine yourself dry and warm. First, you need to step out of the puddle and dry yourself, and then you can start have positive thoughts. First, we need to get rid of the depression, and then our cognitive capabilities will come back. But we need to treat it. So you have to visit a psychiatrist or a therapist or talk to your friends. You need to battle it. You need to deal with it because otherwise there's no other way. You can also see, for example, in school that when you are depressed, you are not really doing well because all your mental capacities are going to battling your own thoughts and you don't really have the energy to solve math equations. I went to university to get a degree. Instead, I got depression and anxiety. I have never been in this low mental state before. That's very common when we go to a new place. We struggle with new problems, especially a place where there's a lot of stress, a lot of new things, new people, and new responsibilities. And it can be really overwhelming. And these situations really test our mental states. And especially for students, it's very common that when they leave their house, their parents, they suddenly have to encounter life on their own. And it's not really comfortable, but they have to deal with it, but they are still young and they don't have the capabilities of doing it properly. So they usually have depression or anxiety. Too depressed to have a healthy relationship, yet constantly wanting love and affection. I hate this. People with depression think they don't deserve love. They think they are worthless and they don't really I don't think they're even capable of understanding. I was the same. That they are worthy. They need love, or maybe they know that they need love, that they deserve love. Everyone wants love and deserves love, but that's kind of hard to explain when your mind tells you that you're not deserving of love. And especially when we are suffering, we need someone who not who would take care of us, but who would support us, who would show us love which we cannot give ourselves. But when we learn to give it ourselves, then it's much easier. And this quote on the internet that you need to deal with yourself or you need to love yourself before you go into a relationship, before you let someone love you back. I don't think that's true. Love is so complicated, and it's much easier when you are with someone who can show you how to love yourself. It's much more easier and much more fulfilling. Don't wait till when you will be perfect. It's never going to happen. Just look around, and if you find someone who you are compatible with and whom you love, who loves you back, and that's settled. Be in relationship and go in line with them. Improve each other. That's what's life about. How did you like these depressed posts or Reddits? Did you find yourself in them? What do you think about them? What would your best way would be to help someone with depression? If you struggle with depression, just remember you are not alone. There are more people for you than you maybe want to admit. So keep going, guys.